Hare Krishna. So welcome everyone to our Srimad Bhagavatam review class. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for coming. We'll begin with our prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamhyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrinda Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Shatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So welcome everyone. We are discussing from the third canto. We have completed fourth chapter. In that, Uddhava he meets Vidurji. He meets Uddhava, and he he remembers all the wonderful pastimes which Krishna performed. All the discussions happened between Vidura and Uddhavji. And Uddhava he told how Maitreya was also there when he was being instructed by the Supreme Lord. So, and then he said, Lord described his Paramam Sthiti, the supreme position, which he didn't even tell to Brahmaji. What is that? He described the knowledge about Brajvasis. He described knowledge about the pure devotional service. So then after that, he was just about to depart to go to Badarik Ashram to give association to the sages there. So Vidurji, he requested that please, can you describe the knowledge which Lord gave you? So Uddhava, he was qualified and competent enough to impart all the knowledge, but he didn't speak. Why? Anybody remembers why he didn't speak? Yeah. He didn't want to speak in front of a senior person, Maryada Vyatikrama. So then he said, Maitreya is nearby, he's in Haridwar, you please go and take knowledge from him. So Vidura, he accepted, and then he continued his journey and he reached Haridwar. There he met with Maitreya Muni. So that's what we discussed so far. So today we'll be beginning the fifth chapter. We're discussing the fifth chapter, Vidura's talks with Maitreya. So the first four chapters of the third canto describes the nature of the Supreme Lord, how Lord is so very eager to, perform so many pastimes. It describes Sarga, primary creation by Lord Vishnu. And now in this fifth chapter, Maitreya will describe the topic of Sarga, that is primary creation, in more detail. So Vidura, he reached Haridwar, and there he met Maitreya Muni. And Prabhupada writes that Vidura, he had actually surpassed all the lower natures of living entity. He was actually a liberated soul. But that is the nature of a liberated soul. He is never satisfied hearing about Krishna. Prabhupada writes, he is Achyut Bhava Siddha. He has perfected the emotions required to come close to Krishna. But interestingly, why Vidura came to Maitreya? To hear about Krishna. But now what he is asking, we'll recite the second verse. Vidura Uvacha Sukhaya karmani karoti loko. Na taye sukham vanyaduparamam va. Vindeta bhuyah tata eva dukkham. Yadatra uktam bhagavan vadennaha. Everyone in this world is working for happiness. Sukhaya karmani karoti loko. But natai sukham. One finds neither happiness nor mitigation from distress. Natai sukham. सुख मिलता नहीं है और दुख ही दुख मिलता है. Uparamamba. Therefore, O Maitreya, Yadatra Uktam, please give us the directions how to live life of real happiness. That is a $1 million question everybody is asking. How to be happy in this world? Because the more we try, the more we become miserable. So why Vidura didn't ask about the Paramam Sthiti directly? Again, the nature of a devotee comes out here. So Prabhupada writes, out of his natural humility, he was thinking, how can I inquire about the supreme knowledge? First, I will begin with the common questions. Because, what was his fear? He was thinking that Lord told Uddhava all the knowledge and Maitreya was coincidentally there. What if Maitreya didn't hear? And what if I ask him, he'll feel embarrassed, he'll feel ashamed. So I'll not ask directly about the Paramam Sthiti, I'll ask some indirect questions, and then if he feels, if he is confident enough, he will on his own speak about the knowledge of Krishna. That is a devotee. A devotee is always sensitive to others' needs. The same thing comes in the first canto. When Parikshit was cursed by Shringi, the father, Shamik Rishi, he sent his disciple, Gaur Mukha, to inform Parikshit that now within 7 days you are going to die. Please prepare for your death. So Parikshit Maharaj could have gone to Shamik Rishi and he could have clarified his situation, right? That I was not intending to insult you. It was just a coincidental thing. Why he didn't go? Because the message was conveyed with such guilt that he was thinking he's already embarrassed because his son cursed me. If I'll go and ask forgiveness, he'll be more embarrassed. So therefore he didn't go. It was not that he was proud. He was very, very sensitive. So that's what is happening here. Vidura is very sensitive. I will ask some indirect questions, and then if he feels, he will describe about the supreme knowledge also. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, so Uddhava, he received knowledge from Krishna, and Vidura also received knowledge from Uddhava. He spoke so many things about the pastimes of the Lord, but Vidura was thinking himself, I am not qualified. How can I ask such a great sage about the Paramam Sthiti? Because Lord taught the secret knowledge to Uddhava. What if Maitreya didn't hear? So he'll be embarrassed. So therefore, he didn't ask him directly. He says, I will ask some of my own questions. And then, if he feels, he will explain to me. So that's how a devotee takes care of all the subtle emotions. These are very subtle things. Outside world, people are very gross in their dealings. They may insult, they may speak bad words, but within devotee circle, we may not speak, such grossly, but the subtle emotions and subtle dealings are taken care of, because the more person is refined in his personality, the more we have to be sensitive enough to deal with that person. Otherwise, he'll be offended. He may feel bad. So therefore, he didn't ask. Srila Prabhupada writes, he focuses on the verse which is spoken. Yeah, you can switch off the fan. The verse is spoken, the verse which was spoken by Vidura. Prabhupada, he tells that in illusion, one thinks that one can be happy only by fruitive activities. But the problem is, the more one tries to enjoy, the more one suffers. Bhagavad Gita very clearly says, Yehi samsparshaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate. When we try to enjoy, it is pregnant with misery. Dukkha yoni. Any happiness of this world is pregnant with misery. So misery will take birth for sure. And we hear this many times, but we think, nahi, itna bhi nahi. Zyada bolte. Matlab, it is so exaggeration, But it's not an exaggeration, it is a fact. So Prabhupada writes, everyone tries to be happy, but the law of nature is so cruel that all the plans, all the schemes of people are spoiled. Man proposes, God disposes. That's what Prabhupada writes. And then he speaks another very beautiful verse. Janasya Krishna Vimukhasya Daivat Adharmashilasya Sudukhitasya Anugrahaye Hacharanti Nunam Bhutani Bhavyani Janardanasya. Janasya, people who are Krishna Vimukha, who have turned their faces away from Krishna, and Adharma Shila, they are only practicing Adharma, and that's why they are Sudukhitasya, they are completely miserable. Anybody who lives life in a adharmic way, he cannot be happy. Therefore, anugrahayeha, to show compassion, anugraha, charanti, people like you, they travel all over the world for bhutani bhavyani. Bhavyani means for the welfare of people. That is the job description of the saintly people. They travel only for the welfare of people in general. Otherwise, what is the need for them to travel? They are self-satisfied. Why Shukdev Goswami would go to each and every home when it was a time for cow to be milked? That's what is described. Go dohanam matram hi. It was not that Shukdev Goswami was, really hungry and he needed food. No, he just went there to show mercy to that householder. Bhavad vida bhagavataha tirtha bhuta swayam vibho tirthi kurvanti tirthani swantasthena gadavrita. Yudhishthir Maharaj tells the same thing about Vidura also. And Vidurji is telling same thing about Maitreya. That is how a devotee is. He never keeps the glories and all the glorification with himself. Oh, I deserve it. He passes on to the parampara. So that's how when we hear our glories, somebody glorifies us, we should never think, he has only understood it. No. It comes in the third canto when Swayambhuva Manu meets Kardam Muni. So Kardam Muni is a great Prajapati and Swayambhuva Muni is the king of the world. So Kardam Muni glorifies Swayambhuva Muni very nicely. You are maintaining all the citizens so nicely. You are a great devotee. You know what Swayambhuva Manu says? He says, thank you for reminding me of my duties. That's the exact verse. So that is the mood of a devotee. Whenever he hears his glorification, he should not think I deserve it. Oh, he is reminding me what I am supposed to do. So therefore, Vidura, he is glorifying Maitreya that you are traveling just for the welfare of people in general. Mahadvichalanam nrinam grihinam dina chetasam nishreyasaya bhagavan kalpate na anyatha kvachit. People, great people, they travel only for the welfare of general people, not for anything else. So Prabhupada writes about the fallen condition of the living entities and the natural condition of the living entity. Prabhupada writes, to be obedient to the wishes of the Supreme Lord is a natural condition. But we have not obeyed the Supreme Lord for many, many lifetimes. That's why we don't want to do it. We are always, against any instruction which is given. There are three types of servants. First class servant, he does four types of servants. First class servant, he does it without even asking. He understands the mood of the master. Bolne ke pehle hi ho jata hai. Second class servant, if he's told something, he'll do it nicely. Third class servant, he will ask, "Kyun karna hai?" And fourth class servant, he says, "Nahi karunga." Do whatever you want. So we have become fourth class servants because Krishna is telling again and again, please come back, please take to Krishna consciousness. And we have never done it. And therefore we are suffering. So then Vidura tells Maitreya, please give me the knowledge of devotional service. And very interestingly, he says, this knowledge is imparted to that person by the Supreme Lord who practices devotional service nicely. So Lord, he gives this knowledge to that devotee who practices bhakti properly. If we don't practice, I think AC thoda kam kar sakte hain remote. Yes, you can put on 20 or something. एक अच्छा एक हाँ एक बंद कर दीजिए. So you can stop that. So Lord reveals knowledge to a person who is purified by the process of devotional service. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam. Krishna gives the knowledge to a person who endeavors to come close to Krishna. Prabhupada writes, the most capable transcendentalist is a pure devotee of the Lord. So actually, Lord is more eager to help us than we are eager to take his help. So that's how he's working so very hard. He's working overtime. He's sending his devotees, he's sending books, he's sending his, he comes as his incarnations, he comes as devotee, deities, prasad. He's eager. You know, there is a verse in Bhagavad Gita, Tesham aham samuddharta mrityu sansara sagarat bhavami na chirat partha maya veshati chetasam. Krishna says, Tesham aham. I personally bring a person out of this material existence. There is a famous BBT picture. You know, Lord Vishnu is there and there is a person drowning in the ocean. And Lord is giving his hand to catch him and bring him back. That's how Lord personally does it. He never delegates his, protection of his devotees. No. Okay, you do it. No, he does it himself. Tesham aham. He does it himself. So Lord is very personal in his dealing with his devotees. So therefore, Vidurji is telling, Lord imparts this knowledge to a person who is purified by practice of devotional service. Lord is never lazy. If somebody is praying, Lord never says, mood nahi, next day. Madrik prapanna pashupasha vimokshanaya muktaya bhuri karunaya namolayaya swamshena sarvatanu brahmanasi pratita pratyagdrishe bhagavate brihate namaste. So Gajendra is praying, oh my Lord, I am bound in this animal body, pashupash. So first he was telling, I am bound, this crocodile is catching me, please relieve me. Then he gives up all that desire. He says, I am bound in this animal form. Please take me out of this ignorance. You are muktaya, you are free. Only a free person can deliver others, right? But somebody may say, Lord may say, okay, I am free, but why should I help you? You are bhuri karunaya. You are always compassionate. Lord may say, okay, I may be bhuri karunaya, but aaj mera mood nahi ho raha hai. Lord says, Gajendra says, you are alayaya. You are never lazy. Whenever devotee calls you, you come immediately. He never ever delays. To such an extent, then when Garuda is flying, he flies at a speed of mind, but still Lord is telling, please move faster, fly faster. To such an extent that Garuda faints. And then Lord keeps Garuda on his shoulder and he's running to, save Gajendra. That is how Lord is so very eager. But because we didn't take it seriously, so therefore we are suffering. So Prabhupada writes, how can we become close? How can we come close to Lord? Only by practice of Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. Prabhupada gives such beautiful hope-giving statements. He says, Vaidhi Bhakti pleases the Lord and can take one to Raga Bhakti. Whatever we are doing, it is capable of taking us to the highest platform. Only thing is, we should have faith and we should do it. One time, somebody sent a video of Aindra Prabhu. He was saying that holy names of Lord can give love of God, provided you do it, provided we chant properly. So that is the understanding. So people in general, so he's saying, please describe the knowledge of devotional service because Lord becomes pleased by that. And then he inquires about the Purusha avatars. So in this chapter, again, the creation will come. Second canto, 3 times creation has come. In the third canto, again, 2 times it will come. So Prabhupada in the purport, he describes that people in the world, Prabhupada goes into technical scientific explanation. Prabhupada, whenever he would get chance, he would chastise 2 people, Mayavadis and scientists. He would never leave them. So here also Prabhupada is writing, in the midst of all the devotional discussion, Prabhupada writes, scientists, they say everything comes from nature, but they don't understand. If there is, if you may have seen on some goats, they have a thick bag of flesh on their neck, and they look like nipples. So if somebody says, okay, we'll get milk from that, it will not happen. So people, they say that everything is coming from material nature. No, unless the seed is implanted, nothing will come out. Prabhupada gives an example of a scorpion. Scorpions sometimes lay eggs in this pile of rice. And an ignorant person, he will say, oh, scorpions are coming out of rice. That means rice gives birth to scorpion. So he's fool. He doesn't understand that the scorpion has laid its eggs. So therefore scientists, they are so fool, they can't understand that without the Supreme Lord's intervention, this material nature cannot give birth to anything. And then he asks 5 questions. First, please describe about the Purusha avatars. And then he asks second question, please describe about Virat Rupa. And Prabhupada tells another thing in the purport. He says, people in the world, they say that there is overpopulation. This overpopulation is a very great business, Prabhupada would write. He would tell many times, there is nothing like overpopulation. Prabhupada would say that, just see all the other species. Human species, all the other species, they far outnumber the human species, but still they are taken care of. None of the animals, they die out of starvation. Only humans, they suffer starvation. Why? Because of mismanagement. Therefore, Prabhupada writes, there is no scarcity of food grains. Only scarcity is of God consciousness. So Prabhupada writes that. So there are questions, please describe about the Virata Rupa. Describe all the Leela avatars, which are very, very pleasing to the heart and the mind. And Prabhupada writes in the purport, now people in the world, they are so very interested to hear and read newspapers, but nobody reads any newspaper twice. Kal ka, aaj ka aaya, nikal ka dobara pad lete. Nobody does that. So Prabhupada writes, in fact, newspapers are read for less than an hour and then thrown in dustbins as rubbish. This is the case of all the mundane literatures. And there are over 1 lakh newspaper publications just in India. So much of the rubbish is thrown every day. Prabhupada writes, beauty of transcendental literature is such that Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam was spoken 5,000 years back. Still we are reading. It is ever fresh. It is ever new. Nobody gets satiated hearing about all these pastimes. Ko nama tripye tarasavit kathayam mahattamaikanta parayanasya nantam gunanam gunasya jagmo yogeshwaraye bhavapadma mukhya. Who is that person? If he knows what is the taste of Harikatha, he will never leave it. Problem is, people don't know. People, they tell, just like in hostels, we go to some of the colleges. So they are, and the seniors, they tell the juniors, ISKCON में जाना, खिचड़ी खा के वापस आ जाना. Don't take it seriously. ज़्यादा उधर घुसना मत. They themselves never come, so they don't know what is getting distributed here, but they are doing propaganda. So therefore, anybody who has not tasted Harikatha, he will not accept it. Otherwise, if you have tasted even a little bit, you can never leave Krishna. And even if you want to leave Krishna, Krishna will not leave you. Sei bhakta dhanya jena chhade prabhu charan, sei prabhu dhanya jena chhade nij jan. Durdaiva sevak yadi jayanya sthane, sei prabhu dhanya tare chule dhariyane. That is our hope. That Lord is great who never leaves his devotees, and that devotee is fortunate who never leaves the Lord. Whatever may happen, even if I fall 100 times, 1,000 times, I'll get up and walk again. That is a devotee. Devotee never, thinks abhi kuch fayda nahi hai. I'm trying since 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years ho gaya hai. Still same anarthas. Still I'll walk. So that is the devotee. Then he asks, please describe the various living conditions in various planets. That is described in the 5th canto. He describes, please describe about the different living creatures. So all these questions Vidura asks Maitreya. So now, Maitreya, he may tell, Arey, you have heard all this in Mahabharata, right? He is son of Vyasadeva. So we have heard all about it just because we have come in Krishna consciousness. Vidura was born from Vyasadeva. So Pitaji ne kitna sikhaya hoga? So somebody may ask, why are you asking all these things? Maitreya may ask Vidura. So Vidura tells, Paravaresham Bhagavan Vratani Shrutani me Vyasamukhada Bhikshnam Atripno Mashulla Sukhavahana Tesham Rite Krishna Katham Ritogha. So, O my Lord, O Bhagavan, Para Avara, I have repeatedly heard about the higher and lower statuses of society. I have heard enough of that. Shrutani me, from whom? Vyasa Mukhat. My father has told me all these things hundreds of times about this Varnashram and all that. But Atripnuma, I am not satisfied. Why? Because all these topics about the lesser subject matter, they are all lesser subject matters. The happiness which we get from the things and people of the world, they are insignificant. So I am not satisfied with that. Therefore, why they are not giving me satisfaction? Because Tesham Rite Krishna Katha Amritogha, because only Krishna Katha can satisfy the heart completely. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes that Vidura is telling Maitreya, although I am asking all these questions about the Purusha avatar, living conditions of people, please tell me all this in relation with Krishna. Don't just give me all the news and information about all these things. Please tell me how they are connected to Krishna. So Prabhupada writes, what is the real purpose of all the Puran and Mahabharata? It is like a sugar candy which has a medicine in it. People in general, they are interested in dharma, artha, kama. They want to enjoy this world and they are not interested in Krishna. So Vyasadeva, he has given them a nice candy which is covered with sweet, but there is a medicine. What is that medicine? That is Bhagavad Gita. So that's why Prabhupada writes that Vyasadeva, he has written all that so that people can be brought close to Krishna. But because Vidura is a great devotee, he is not at all interested in indirect speech. Many times when we go to some conferences or other, secular talks, we have to speak indirectly. So some devotees are like, वहाँ पे कुछ directly बोलते ही नहीं, सब घुमा फिरा के इधर उधर का सब बोलते. So they are not so happy and satisfied. So therefore Vidura is saying, I am not satisfied. मैंने बहुत सुन लिया वो सब. Please speak direct Krishna Katha. That will only give me satisfaction, because devotee is like that honeybee. who gets parijata. Parijate anjasa labdhe sarango anya na sevate. If somebody gets parijat flower, why he will go and get some flower in Mumbai, which has no taste, no fragrance, no nectar. Todangri moolam asadhya sakshat kim kim vrinimahi. So anybody who has tasted Krishna Katha, he will never be satisfied with any other topics. So Maitre may say, but you have heard plentiful of Krishna's pastimes also, right? Vidura says, who can be satisfied hearing about Krishna? Kastripnuya tirtha padobhidhanat satreshu vasuribhiridyamanat yakkarna nadim purushasya yato Bhava pradam geharatim chinatti. Kastripnuyat. In this human society, who can be satisfied hearing Krishna Katha? The lotus feet of the Lord is a place of pilgrimage. Tirthapada. Tirthapada means it is a place of pilgrimage. And these lotus feet, they are worshipped by Suribhi, they are worshipped by great devotees, great sages. And anybody who wants to cut off his attachment to family, to his relatives, society, please hear these pastimes. Yah karn nadim, because when you hear these pastimes, bhava pradam geharati chinati, you will lose all your attachments. Therefore, our acharyas, they warn us. Please don't go to the Keshi Ghat and look at the beautiful form of Krishna, who is threefold bending. Otherwise, you will lose all your attachment. Then don't blame us. Bataya nahi pehle. Aisa ho jayega, So therefore, Acharyas and Krishna, he speaks very bluntly about himself. And anybody who comes to Krishna consciousness, first day he is told, na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va. अरे उसके लिए तो आ रहा हूं मैं, and you are telling no. So therefore, anybody who wants sense gratification and family attachment, please don't hear about Krishna. Otherwise, all your attachments will be destroyed. So this is Kayamutika Nyaya. Kayamutika means what if? If the names can fully satisfy a person, what to speak of the pastimes? If then just the name satisfies. So if we hear about the person more, how much satisfaction it will give? Prabhupada writes, Krishna Katha is so powerful, just by entering the ears once can deliver one from the material affection, family affection is destroyed. Therefore, gopis, they tell, we have seen so many beggars in Vrindavan. At that time, hote honge us samay bhi. Yadanucharit leela karna piyusha viprut sakrit adan vidhuta dvandva dharma vinashta sapadi grih kutumbam deenam utsrijya deena bahva iha vihanga bhikshucharyam charanti. Yad anucharit leela, gopis are warning anybody who has heard Krishna. You know what has happened to them? They have given up their wretched families and they have themselves become wretched. So please be careful while you are entering Vrindavan. It is a very, very dangerous place. You may lose all your attachments. And that is what Krishna is doing all the propaganda about. Anybody who hears about Krishna, all his attachments will be destroyed. So Vyasa, so Vidura, he tells that Vyasdev, he has actually described the transcendental qualities of the Lord. But you know why he has done it? He has done it. How he has done it? He has done it in an indirect way. Just to attract the people to Krishna Katha, he has given dharma, artha, kama. He has not spoken directly. So therefore, I am not satisfied with that. So please speak about Krishna Katha directly. I want to hear direct Krishna Katha. You know what happens when we hear direct Krishna Katha? Again, he says, one becomes completely indifferent. Udasin, udas nahi, udasin. That means indifferent. Sa shraddadhanasya vivardhamana virakti manyatra karoti pumsaha hare padanu smriti nirvritasya samasta dukkhapyayama shudhatte. So those who are engaging in Krishna Katha regularly, eagerly, intensely, if they are hearing Krishna Katha, what happens? They develop in virakti, completely detached. Vairagya means the taste is still there. Virakti means the taste is not there. Virakti. So virakti manyatra karoti. How it happens? Hare padanu smriti. Anybody who remembers the lotus feet of the Lord regularly. Another quality is samasta dukkha. All the miseries also get destroyed. Two things happen. One becomes detached and one becomes free from miseries. Aur kya chahiye? You know, this is what people need to become free from problems of the world and to become detached from the problems and the things of the world. That's the result of absorbing the mind in Lord's topics. So Prabhupada writes, when a sincere devotee reads Bhagavad Gita, it is as good as seeing Krishna directly. So we may think Bhagavatam means more, close, more rasa is there. But Bhagavad Gita is also equal. So somebody said, I think Radha Gopinath Prabhu was giving a class some time back. Battlefield, Ras Leela on the Kurukshetra. That's what was happening between Bhishma and Krishna. They were reciprocating such sweet relationships. And this comes in the, I think, oh. So it comes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was on South India tour, so he met one Brahmana. He was not, literate. He was not able to read Bhagavad Gita properly, Sanskrit. Still, he was reading Bhagavad Gita. Ashtadash adhyaya pade ananda aveshe, ashuddha pade na loka kare upahase. And people were making fun of him. Are padna nahi aata isko, Keha hase keha ninde taha nahi mane. Avishta hoiya Gita pade anandita mane. So he was not thinking, log kya kahenge? Kuch to log kahenge. People will speak something. So he was not, anything caring about that. Bolne to jo bolna hai. You keep speaking. I'll read Bhagavad Gita. Although I can't read Bhagavad Gita properly, still I read. And when he was reading, what was happening? Shved kampa romancha shru gadgada vaivarnya. Swed kampa romancha shru yavata pathan dekhi anandita hoila mahaprabhurman. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he saw that he is developing symptoms of ecstasy while reading Bhagavad Gita, how many of us develop ecstatic symptoms reading Bhagavad Gita? रोमांच हो रहा है. रोमांच होता है, समझ नहीं रहा है कुछ. Not able to understand anything. ये क्यों बोला अभी? So Krishna was speaking Bhagavad Gita. It was natural for him. He was not preparing for, अभी कल अर्जुन को भगवद गीता बोलनी, धर्म क्षेत्र कुरुक्षेत्र याद कर रहे हैं, pacing up and down. But when we read Bhagavad Gita, it is not Gita. It is in tapasya. But this devotee, although he was not properly literate, but still, Pulak Ashru Kampa Sweda Yavat Patan. And Mahaprabhu, when he saw, he was very happy. He asked, Mahaprabhu Puchila Tare Shun Mahashay Kona Artha Jani Tumare Tashuko hai. Why are you becoming so happy? You can't read also. Why are you so happy? So this Brahmana says, oh, I am Murkha. Vipra kahe Murkha ami Shabdartha na jani. Shuddha Ashuddha Gita Padi Guru Ragya mani. Oh, I am illiterate. My Guru has given me instruction. That's why I am reading. Then why are you crying? So he says, when I see the cover page of Bhagavad Gita, I see Krishna holding the reins of Arjuna's chariot. That gives me great joy. That's why I am crying out of ecstasy. So Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Gita Pathe Tomarai Adhikar. You are only qualified to read Bhagavad Gita. So that's what Prabhupada is writing. When a sincere devotee reads Bhagavad Gita, this is as good as seeing Krishna face to face. So therefore, one should be faithful enough. Shraddha dhana, sa shraddha dhana. Faith is very important. And then Vidura says wonderful verse. He says, there are three types of people in the world: pure devotees, impersonalists, Mayavadis, and sense gratifiers. So Mayavadis, they pity those sense gratifiers. They say, oh, they are so engrossed in sense gratification. And devotees, they pity both Mayavadis and sense gratifiers. So therefore, pitied by the pitiable. That's what Prabhupada writes. They are pitied by the pitiable. So sense gratifiers, they are pitied by Mayavadis, who are pitied by devotees. So therefore, Vidura says, what is the use of any other thing? I don't want to hear about Mayavad or anything of this world or impersonalism. Please speak direct Krishna Katha. That will only satisfy me, because devotees are interested only in the essence. Tadasya kausha rava sharma dhatu Hare kathameva katha susaram Uddhritya pushpebhya ivarta bandho Shivaya nah kirtaya tirtha kirteh. O Kausharava, Kausharava is another name of Maitreya. So, O Kausharava, Sharma Dhatu, the topics of one who awards good fortune. Whose topics award good fortune? Topics of Krishna. Hari Katha, that Katha is a Kathasu Sara. This is the essence of all the Katha which we are reading in all the Vedas and Upanishads and Puranas. If you want to churn out the essence, that is Hari Katha. Vede Ramayane Chaiva Purane Bharate Tatha Adav Ante Cha Madhye Cha Hari Sarvatra Kiyate. Hari is glorified everywhere. That is the essence. And Bhagavad Gita is also considered the essence. Sarvopanishado Gavo Dogdha Gopala Nandana. And Krishna, he milked that cow of the Upanishads. But devotees and people, they are so averse, not devotees, people, materialistic people, they don't know anything about Bhagavad Gita. One time one devotee was giving a class and he spoke on this Gita Mahatmya. He spoke this verse. Sarvo Upanishado Gavo Dogdha Gopala Nandana. So Upanishads are cows. Dogdha means milkman is Krishna. Partha is calf. Sudhir Bhukta is drinking the milk and then it is available to everyone. So after the class, one person came and said, Prabhuji, class to bahut acha tha, lekin wo do gadha kaun tha usme? Sarvo Upanishado Gavo, do gadha. So this devotee said, ek gadha main tha aur dusra tum tha. So that's how people, they don't understand anything what is there in Bhagavad Gita. One person said, अरे आप लोग बोलते हैं चाय नहीं पीना चाहिए, भगवद गीता में लिखा है चाय पीना चाहिए स्टोव पे बना के. कहाँ लिखा है? सर्वस्य चायम हृदि सन्निविष्टो. So Hari Katha is Kathasu Sara. It is the essence of all the Katha. Just like a honeybee takes the essence of each and every flower. Udhritya takes out the essence. Pushpebhya, from all the pushpa. Similarly, please take out the essence of all the Katha. Because Shivaya nah kirtaya tirtha kirteh. So the glories of the Lord, they are the place of pilgrimage. So please speak about Krishna. So he says, he is requesting, please speak only essence, sab kuch mat batao. That's what first canto, all the sages tell to Sut Goswami. Please take out the essence of all the topics. Sab mat batao. Already yahan pe zyada nahi. Prayan alpayusha sabya kalavasmin yuge jana manda sumanda matayo manda bhagyo padrita. Apna qualification bahut hai. So we cannot handle much data. So please take out the essence. So Vidura, because he asked about Purusha avatar, Leela avatar, different planets, different living entities. So Maitreya was thinking, okay, what should I tell first? So Vidura, he clarifies. He makes specific request that please speak about Purusha avatar katha first. So that's how Vidura tells him. And Srila Prabhupada writes that Vidura, he was actually very eager to hear about Krishna. But he didn't want to jump directly into all these pastimes of Krishna. He wanted to hear the basic philosophy also. So we may hear all the esoteric and all the high pastimes, but we should never ever lose our grounds with the reality and basic foundational philosophy. If foundation is strong, then we can build very high-rise building. So therefore, regularly we should hear about the basic philosophy that helps us. That's why Vidura is asking about Purusha Avatar Katha. Oh, sorry. So then again the creation is described, which we have heard 3 times in the second canto. How the Supreme Lord, he creates this entire material universe. It is all technical details. So Maitreya, it tells, okay, I'll speak about the Purusha Avatar Katha. So to begin with, he describes what happened prior to the creation. So we have heard in the second canto, Brahmaji, when he took birth from the lotus flower, he was thinking, who am I? What I am supposed to do? And then he was, looking around everywhere. He developed 4 heads. Then he was thinking, abhi karna kya hai? He heard 2 words, tapa, tapa. Then he did tapasya, and then Lord gave darshan. And then he spoke that you now please do the creation. So that's what Maitreya tells. And then he tells how Lord does the creation. I think kuch to garbad. Kitna 25 par rakhiye jara. You can put on 25. So then Lord does, Maitreya describes the basic process of creation. So from Mahavishnu's body, what comes out? Universes. That's what we have heard. But universes doesn't come out of the body of Mahavishnu as it is. Just like we sweat, Mahavishnu's body also sweats. So what comes out of the body of Mahavishnu is called as Dravya. Dravya means liquid. And that Dravya is Prakriti. Okay. So that Prakriti is technically Dravya, which comes out. And then Lord glances on that Prakriti and impregnates it with 4 things, as you can see in this slide. Kala, Karma, and Swabhav of the Jivas. So 4 things. Jivas, Kala, Karma, Swabhav. So 4 things are impregnated. So Prakriti is also called as Pradhan. More technical words will come, so don't worry. So what is the 4th one? Jiva, living entities. जिनको थोड़ा अभी नींद आ रहा है तो सो सकते हैं, अभी समझे, ऑलरेडी टेक्निकल चलने वाला है. So then as Lord glances on the Pradhana, it transforms into Mahat Tattva. So just to make it simple, somebody goes to the shop, flower market, or vegetable market, and gets all the vegetables, dudi, bhopla, bangan, gajar, sablake, and put everything in one place. That is called as Pradhan. All mixed. That is Pradhan. Pradhan, Prakriti, they are all same. Different words for same thing. Then if you have to do the cooking, first kya karna padega? Segregate. Segregate, bhopla alag, bangan alag, all that. So that is what is called as glancing of the Lord. Lord glances. He sends a person, right? A person enters. So jivas, they enter along with Kala, Karma, Swabhav, and under the influence of time. Time is the working factor here, catalyst here. Time and the modes. Then it transforms into Mahat Tattva. And then Mahat Tattva further differentiates into under the influence of the modes. So Mahat Tattva in the mode of goodness. First, everything is in mode of goodness. That is called as Vaikarik Ahankar. So Mahat Tattva in the mode of goodness transforms into false ego. Sorry, Mahatattva first transforms into mode of passion and then mode of ignorance. Mode of ignorance, Mahatattva in the mode of ignorance is called as Ahankar, false ego. False ego, which is predominantly in the mode of ignorance, further transforms. False ego in the mode of goodness, which is prominently ignorance. Ignorance again gets transformed into the mode of goodness into the that is called as karta, and it transforms into the mind and the 10 sense devatas.
In the picture, it is mentioned that Mahatattva in Sattva Gun, that comes as Ahankar.
No, it is shown like that. What happens? Mahatattva it is first in the mode of goodness, then it transforms into mode of passion, then it transforms into mode of ignorance. So Mahatattva in the mode of ignorance is Ahankar. Okay. So then Ahankar further gets transformed in 3 modes. So Ahankar in the mode of goodness, which is called as Jnana Shakti. Ahankar in the mode of passion, Kriya Shakti. Ahankar in the mode of ignorance, Dravya Shakti. And then this is technically called as Adhideva, Adhyatma, and Adhibhuta. This is different from the 3 kleshas. We have heard, na? Adhyatmic klesh, Adhibhautik klesh, Adhidevic klesh. These terms are different. The terms are same, but the meaning is different. So then Ahankar in the mode of goodness transforms into the mind and 10 sense devatas. We have 10 senses. What are the 10 senses? 5 knowledge acquiring senses and 5 working senses. Every sense is controlled by a devata. So these devatas, they are not created by Brahma. These devatas are created by Vishnu. Okay, so Brahmaji has not come yet. So mind and 10 sense devatas are created by Ahankar in the mode of goodness. Then in the mode of passion, what happens? Prana. Prana Vayu, Prana Shakti. Then the 10 senses also appear along with the intelligence. Then from the mode of ignorance comes 5 elements. What are the 5 elements? Earth, water, fire, air, ether. And 5 tanmatras. What is tanmatra? Sense object. What is perceived by the senses is called as sense object, which is technically called as tanmatra. Sufficient ho gaya yahan tak lagta hai. Example. Sound is the tanmatra for ears. Touch is a tanmatra for skin. Taste is a tanmatra for tongue. Like that. Form is the tanmatra for the eyes. Tanmatra means sense object basically. So this is another more technical explanation of what happens in creation. Sigma, that is just a sign. Don't worry about that. So everything works because Lord is glancing. So when Lord glances, everything moves. So Lord's glance impregnates this dravya with time and the modes. And then further things happen. So, okay. So this tanmatra, so the 5 tanmatras and 5 elements, how they come, that is described in this slide. Okay. So first tanmatra is, first element is sound. That's the beginning. Beginning of the creation is sound. Everything comes from sound. So sound creates ether. And then it has a quality. That is sound. In the sky, you can hear the sound. Then sky, under the influence of the Lord's glance, time, external energy, then transforms into touch. And then touch gives rise to air. So it is very important to understand. Subtle gives rise to gross. Okay. Subtle gives rise to gross. Generally, we think the other way. But this is not how creation happens. Touch gives rise to air. Air gives rise to form. Form gives rise to fire. So that's how we'll not go into the detail of this. So we'll continue ahead. So that's how. So basically, the earth has all the 5 qualities. You can smell, you can taste, you can touch, you can hear. Water only has 4. What is not there in water? You can see this and tell me. What is not there in water? Smell. When water is contaminated, it smells, but generally pure water doesn't have smell. Fire doesn't have what? Taste and smell. Air doesn't have taste, smell, and form. So that's how it goes. So then what happens? So all the elements are created, raw material ho gaya ready, but you need some person, right, to put them in the kadhai and then stir it. So all the devatas, they are thinking, all the raw material is ready, but we don't know how to cook. We don't know how to create the universe. So all of them, they come together and they start praying to the Supreme Lord. That is the remaining section of this chapter. Deva uchuhu namamate deva padaravindam prapannatapo kshamat patram yanmulaketa yatayonjasoru samsara dukkham bahiruchpanti. Namamate Deva, O our Lord, we offer our respectful obeisance unto your lotus feet first. So 5 verses describe the glories of the lotus feet of the Lord. Your lotus feet, it is like an umbrella. Atapatra. Atapatra is umbrella. And this umbrella gives protection from all the scorching heat of the miseries of the world. Yanmulaketa, if somebody takes shelter of this lotus feet, all the material miseries will be thrown out. Samsara dukkha will be released. So that is how they begin. And then another beautiful verse they say, Marganti yatte mukhapadmanidai Chandai suparnai vrishayo viviktai Yasyagamarshoda saridvaraya Padam padam tirtha padam prapanna. So Lord is described here as a shelter of holy men, holy places, and the holy rivers. So those who are rishis, those who are sages, clear-minded sages, rishayo viviktaihi, what they do? Marganti, they are always searching. For what? Mukha Padma, the lotus face of the Lord. Just like the birds, they search for their nest at the end of the day, the sages, they search for the nest of your lotus feet, because that is their shelter. Chandai, and the wings, the birds, they have wings. So the sages, how do they search for the nest of Krishna's lotus feet? Chandai, through the Vedas. So the scriptures are the wings which the sages have, which can take one to Krishna's lotus feet. And what happens when one takes shelter of Krishna's lotus feet? Yasyaga marashod saridvaraya. All the agha, all the sins are destroyed. Just like when one takes shelter of Ganga, one immediately becomes purified. So that is the understanding of the lotus feet. So they say, there are 2 ladders which we are taking to climb up to your lotus feet, O my Lord. First is the Vedas. Second, the holy rivers. Ganga. Yavailasa Shri Tulasi Vimishra Krishnangri Renu Abhyadikam Bunitri Punati Lokan Ubhayatra Seshan Kastam Naseveta Marishyamanaha. The Ganga, what is Ganga? It is mixed with the Tulasi which is offered at the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. Tulasi Vimishra, Krishna Angri, and what else is there? It is mixed with the dust of Krishna's lotus feet. Krishnangri Renu. Renu means the dust. Anybody who takes shelter of Ganga gets purified. Unati Lokan, it purifies all the 3 planets. Kristamnas, who will not take shelter of Ganga? So that's what the sages, all the devatas, they are glorifying the lotus feet of the Lord. And then they tell, you know what happens when one meditates on the lotus feet? One becomes enlightened and one becomes detached. Yashraddhaya Shrutavatya cha Bhaktya Samrijyamane Hridaye Vadhaya Jnanena Vairagya Balena Dhira Vraje Matatte Angri Saroja Pitham. Simply by hearing about the lotus feet of the Lord with faith and devotion. Just hear with faith and devotion, that's all. What happens? Gyan and Vairagya. One will develop knowledge and one will be detached. So these are the 2 essential qualities which appear automatically. Gyan and Vairagya. All of us, we can, think and note what all things we have left after we came to Krishna consciousness. Even unconsciously, without even thinking much, we left so many things. No tea, no coffee, no going to movies, no parties. Of course, our movement is all party. So one time somebody asked Prabhupada, Swamiji, what do you do for recreation? Prabhupada said, our whole life is recreation. Who in the morning gets up 4 o'clock and starts dancing? So we do that. So we have given up so many things just by taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. So Lord awards remembrance and courage. Then he says, then the devatas, they tell, who is qualified and who is unqualified? Who can take shelter of the Lord's lotus feet? Who cannot take shelter? People who are in this conception of I and mine, who are materialists, who are grihamedhis, they will never take shelter of the Lord. But the devotees who are eager to drink this nectar of Harikatha, they will take shelter. Panena te deva katha sudhaya pravridya bhaktya vishadashayaye vairagya saram pratilabhya bodham yathanjasanviyurakuntadhishnyam. So they are telling now, oh great Lord, those people who are offenseless, they can only attain your lotus feet. They can drink this nectar of Harikatha. But those who are materialists, they are offensive, they will never have darshan of your lotus feet. And then after describing all this, they pray that please, enlighten us. We are disunited. We are just standing thinking, abhi karna kya hai? What to do now? So therefore, please enlighten us and award us your kind direction so that we can render this service. So this is how this chapter ends. We'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Anybody has any questions?
What was the link between Sarga? You said we went up to that
Sarga.
The 5 elements and all this. And then all of a sudden we went to lotus feet.
Okay. So after all the elements were created, there are the devatas who were created here. If you go back.
So devatas were
okay.
Created.
So devata, you can see the 10 sense devatas and the mind. So all the sense devatas, they have to now do the creation part. So they are thinking how to do it now. So all the elements are there, raw materials are there, but how much quantity, kitna milana hai, kitna namak, kitna haldi, they don't know how to do it. So therefore they pray to Karano Dakshai Vishnu from where they have come. So they are praying to the Lord, please give us the intelligence. Abhi kya karna hai?
Brahmaji created devatas first.
No.
Brahmaji has not come yet. That's what I said, that these devatas are not created by Brahma. These devatas are created by Mahavishnu. So then what happens later? After all these devatas, they offer their prayers. So it will come in the next chapter. So Lord sends his cohesive energy, Bibrat Shakti. cohesive energy, which binds all these elements together. And then the universal shell is created, a golden egg. And that golden egg stays for 1,000 years in an inactive condition. So we mila to diya, abhi kuch ho nahi raha hai, Again, Lord expands as Garbho Dakshai Vishnu and enters into the universe. And then he sees, abhi, I've entered, but where to lie down? Then he creates sweat out of his body, then fills half of the universe with his own sweat. That is called as Garbhodak ocean. And then he is lying down on the Ananta Shesha. And then from the navel of the Lord Garbho Dakshai Vishnu, a lotus comes out. On that lotus, Brahmaji takes birth. And then he is thinking, abhi kya karna hai, and then he does tapasya, and then he gets darshan of the Lord. Third canto we have discussed. It will come, sorry.
So before Brahma, he created Ananta Sesha.
Ananta Sesha he is always there with the Lord. So whenever Lord Vishnu is there, he is never alone. He is always with his potencies. So Ananta Shesha is always there. Lakshmi Devi is always there. So he expands. You don't see Prime Minister moving alone. Koi hai nahi ghumne ke liye, saath mein akele ghum ke aate hain. So he always goes with an entourage. So Lord goes always with his associates. So Ananta Shesha. And so Chakravarti Thakur writes in one of the purports here, when it said that Lord was alone, he was never alone. He is always with his devotees.
Right from the beginning.
Right from the beginning. They are there. Yes.
Then he created Brahma.
Yeah. Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, Ananta Shesha is the son of Kashyap Rishi.
That is another story. This Ananta, although he's a avatar of the Lord, but the son of Kashyapa, that is Kadru. Kadru's son is Ananta Shesha. He is a Shaktyavesh avatar of the Lord. So in the beginning of the universe, so what happened? Sometimes this Ananta Shesha, he leaves this job and he goes, "Main ja raha hu chutti pe," So the Bhumandala, it goes down in the Garbhodak ocean. So then that time Kashyapa, he creates this Shesha. This Shesha is a empowered representative of the Lord. And he is told, okay, you go down the Bhumandal and you support the Bhumandal. So that is his only job. Kab tak karna hai? Everybody asks, kab tak seva karna hai? If seva is given, kab tak karna hai? So he was told, okay, you start singing the glories of Krishna. When it comes to end, you can stop. So he's singing the glories since the beginning of the creation. Nantam vidamyamani muyogra chaste maya balasya purushasya kuto varaye gayan gunan dashashatanan adi deva sheshodhunapi samavastana asya param na antam. He is never coming to the end. Khatam hi nahi ho raha hai. Gayan gunan dashashata, 1,000, 10,000. Dashashata means 1,000, sorry. He's singing with 1,000 heads. Still, he's not come to an end so far. Abhi tak khatam nahi hua hai. So that is his service. Okay.
So when you say Adir, Anadir, Govinda, it can be applicable to Lakshmi Mata also. Adir, Anadir, Lakshmi.
Lord's, everything is Anadi only. Jiva, Kala, Swabhav, and Jiva, Kala, and Ishvara. Ishvara, Jiva, Kala, Karma, and Swabhav. Out of these five, only Karma is temporary now. Everything else is permanent, eternal. Swabhav is Prakriti basically. Ishvara, Jiva, Kala, Karma, Prakriti. Okay, so everything is eternal, just form changes.
Our senses, like here in material world also, like we have been hearing that you have for all the senses and for all the parts of the body and everything, you have a data, So these data are different from these data, right?
They are same. So whatever we call as Indra, Chandra, they are not created by Brahma. They are created in the beginning of the creation by Lord Vishnu.
So this Indra, Chandra, what we are.
So all these 10 sense devatas, they have 10 senses, they have 10 sense devatas. So who are the devatas? the ears, they have their devatas as Dik Devata. They are called Dikpal. Eyes, they have their devata as Surya. Skin as Vayu. Nose, Ashwini Kumar. Tongue is Varuna. Hands, Indra. Feet, Upendra. Voice, Agni. Anus, Mitra. Genitals, Prajapati. So all these devatas, they are created by Lord Mahavishnu. And there are many other devatas who are created by Brahmaji also. But these are the primary devatas.
So their tattva is not Jeev tattva.
They are Jiva Tattva only, but they are created by Vishnu. So it will come in the further chapter. There are two types of creation: primary, secondary, and mixed. So these devatas come under mixed creation. You know, it's like that. Because devatas are created by Brahma also and Mahavishnu also. So therefore, they are called as mixed. Devatas come under mixed category because some are created by Brahma, some are created by Vishnu, like that. Okay.
Which is that sloka in Gita you mentioned that the more we enjoy, the more we suffer.
Yehi samsparshja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate. 5.27. I think so.
No.
No, 5.27. Sorry. 5.19 or something. You can find out. Yehi samsparshja. 5th chapter for sure. Okay, so thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
I was never aware of this mixed creation.